Good morning, everybody. Hello. Whoa, wake up, wakey, wakey. This is Loretta Brown. This is the original Loretta Brown Show, radio to open the heart, heal the soul, and awaken the consciousness. Wakey, wakey. Benny, I see you over there rubbing
And I
your
see you
eyes.
back. It was a wiki eggs and bakey.
Yeah.
Old school ways. I'm sure now it's a little more, wholesome. So to speak, maybe some oats in there, some grains, some berries. You know.
Yeah, exactly. My parents were old school, right? And it was the first wake up call. My dad would come and he'd just open the door, wakey, wakey,
Aw.
eggs and bakey.
Yeah,
And then of
see?
course I didn't want to get up, right? So the next thing would be he'd flip the light on, right? And then I'd go under the covers. And the third thing was if he came in and the covers came off, you knew you really had to.
Right. Yeah. You gotta get going. You gotta get moving now. Because you have to walk in the snow in both directions with no shoes on up a hill. I think that might have been the story too back in the day.
Yeah, and you got to feed all the animals before you
Right.
go.
Yeah, you've got to go out to the farm, feed the cows, the chickens, the ducks, everyone. Make sure they got water,
That's right.
and then you
That's
can come in and have some breakfast. And the dinner
that's right.
bell, get the ring.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, mom actually had a dinner bell. That's so funny.
That's so cool.
Yeah. So anyway, everybody listening, I hope that got you up. You're probably all out there now thinking about your cup of coffee or something, your tea, whatever. And here we are. Oh my goodness, February 17th. Oh, we're in the middle of who knows what. Lots of stuff going on.
Love
Anyway,
month. It's the middle of love month.
it is the love month.
So we'll do that. Yeah.
Yeah, Mars and Aries are up there kissing each other. They're the cosmic lovers, and I think I told you this last week, they're often not, Mars is Aries and Venus, I should say, right? He's always off fighting battles, because he's a warrior, and Venus is like, now, honey, let's make love, not war. And he's like, rah.
Oh.
So,
Well, that's maybe a good roar, not a bad roar. That might be a topic for a show for another day.
I'm just sending a little energy out there. I hope I'm making people laugh.
Our guest likes that today.
Yeah, because there is a lot of, as I say, fire in the sky, and of course we just entered the year of the water tiger, and we've got a big full moon in Leo. Oh, the heart, and the heart, is something that we really need to address. My guides told me a couple of weeks ago, this is the year of the heart. So it's it's got a lot going on. But anyway, let me introduce myself. I'll get into quick astrology. I know, hearts. Thank you to you, and to my guest Christopher. Hearts to you too. Even though you're like, what is going on here?
He's loving it.
Yeah,
I love it.
He's in the right
I've got to
place.
tell you something really quickly, by the way.
Sure.
When you say you got woken up eggs and bakey, my father used to knock on the door, time to get up. He'd give you one chance, and then he'd start hoovering, vacuuming the carpet, and you could hear it from and it's coming closer. Oh my goodness, and then the door flings open and now that will get you up.
Kudos. Well done.
Yes.
Well done. I now need to find a vacuum cleaner sound effect.
Joe, I could do that for you.
I was going to say, right. Christopher, you're doing that pretty good. I think you've heard that before.
Yeah, I got well trained as a youngster.
Yeah, well, I noise, there are ways to deal with things as opposed to, as I say, yelling at each other, right?
Fingers in the ears and stuff.
I think that's just great. I know Benny's trying to find that vacuum cleaner. I know he's doing it.
Oh, no, I'm good now. I'm good.
Anyway.
He's got it covered for me. All
right. So anyway, I'm the owner of Reiki Oasis, located here in the greater Seattle area for the last 27 years. Hard to believe. And we're out there. We're doing great work. You can find out everything about me at ReikiOasis.com and schedule everything at schedule.ReikiOasis.com. Big shout out to my webmaster who's helping me work on upgrading everything because I've been around a while, let's just put it that way. Anyway, this coming Saturday, February 19th, under the energies of powerful things going on, I will have my monthly class for women called Temple of the Divine Feminine. And I need you. I need your hearts. I need your beauty. I need your love. I need your divine feminine energies. So please come. We do it via Zoom. And it just works a little better that way for people. Also, on Sunday mornings, I have Sunday meditation with Loretta at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time on Sundays. If you can't be there at 11, don't worry. I record it and send it to you. And the whole idea is my business is called Reiki Oasis. It is an oasis for meditation and channeling and higher consciousness and trying to help us, I don't know, figure out who we are, why we're here. Why are we here? What are we doing here at this pivotal time on planet Earth? You came for a reason, and my greatest joy is helping you step into the knowledge and the power and the doing of that. We need your gifts. Don't hoard your cookies in the closet. Share them. Give them out there. That's how that works. Did I talk about cookies last week too? I got cookies on the brain.
I
don't know.
think you have, and yeah, you have a little sweet tooth working there.
Yeah, maybe I need some sweetness. Anyway.
You did there. Well done.
Too much personal information. All right, so
Not for this show.
moving on. Astrology, yes. Big, beautiful, huge full moon in the sign of Leo at the very same time that Venus is conjuncting Mars. That means they're together, they're holding hands, they put their arms around each other. And this is a big-hearted moon, very, very big-hearted. It's wanting us to take a look at the issues around the heart. Now, this could be relationships, it could be money, it could be, I'm just going to say, joy. Like, what happened to your joy and your lightness of being and your happiness? And I'm kind of saying to everybody, it's time to bring play back into our lives. The things that really matter are often the small things. Sometimes I have the privilege of working with people at the end of life, and if I talk to them about their life, they don't talk about their great big huge corporate job. They talk about their families or their loved ones, or the simple beauty of music or the sunrise or sunset. So I think that after the last couple of years, we need to make sure we're brushing ourselves off and standing up in a new way. And it's one of the reasons why I'm so glad to have my guest coming on the show in a minute. So rather than, as I say, waiting for XYZ to occur so that you can take charge of your life or be happy, I want to remind you, you're a co-creator. We're doing this together. So let's do it. Let's not wait for it. Let's make it happen. And of course, I'm that fiery girl, so I'm always going to do that. With Venus and Mars coming together, it's going to make us take a look at our inner balance. Are we balanced? Are we in alignment with who we know ourselves to be? When we're too masculine or Mars driven, we can find ourselves being impulsive, rash, angry, battling, acting before thinking, and looking before leaping. If we're too feminine or Venus driven, we can find ourselves in a state of pity, or we're a victim, we're powerless, and we can feel too driven by our emotions, and we might find it hard to take direct and decisive action. And by becoming aware of where we may be experiencing the imbalance, we can bring ourselves back into harmony with greater ease under this Venus-Mars conjunction. And it also might be the time to reach out to my guest and get some healing work. We'll talk about that in a minute. And then we got big stuff coming up because we are entering Pisces season over the weekend. The sun is moving into Pisces. What is Pisces? Pisces is water, emotion, deepness. And Pisces is a sign of spirituality. It is the very last sign of the quote unquote Western zodiac calendar. And I always remember we're greater than the stars and they are like the weather. So we do sometimes take a look at them. And I want to point out one thing and then bring my guest on. We are headed toward February 22nd, 2022. It's coming up in a couple of days. Everyone's been talking about it all month. We went from 2 to 2022 to 2, 22, 2022. 0222 2022. I feel like I just need to talk in binary code and maybe we'll get a message coming in. But there is a sacred geometry, all of these things. There is energy. A lot of people are talking about this. I'm not going to go deep into it. You can Google it yourself because there's different ideas of what this means. But 2 does represent relationship, duality. And sometimes we look at the number 11, which is a master number of the messenger. And if we add 1 and 1, we get 2. So there's big work here to be done. We're right on time. We've got Saturn doing some things in the sky. I'm not going to go into it big heavily, but today, big day in the sky, especially through Vedic astrology. And this big moon is an illuminator. It is bringing truth out and change. And remember, we always say, well, I want to know the truth. Well, do we? I don't know. Sometimes we don't want to know the truth, right? That's the truth. So anyway, thanks for listening. I'm going to bring my wonderful guest in. I'm jumping up and down, trying to stay grounded so I can actually ground this information. My guest is Dr. Christopher Macklin, PhD. He is an author, a powerful health and wellness practitioner who was born a highly aware psychic child in Chester, England. Oh, I relate to that. Christopher Macklin was able to perceive energy fields, spirit activity, and multidimensional phenomena from a very young age. He currently uses alternative and mainstream modalities to help people with their modern day illnesses. And Christopher works with thousands of clients international, and he's able to heal many people simultaneously. What a wonderful gift. He and his wife Amanda have founded the Global Enlightenment Project to serve and awaken humanity and to support the healing needs of people all over the earth. They live at their center in Branson, Missouri. He's the author of several books, including Centering the Mind, Healing of Chronic Stress, Anxiety, Depression, ADD, OCD, and PTSD in children, adolescents, and adults, and also a great book, History, Truth, and Healing. Welcome to the show, Christopher.
Yay! Thanks for having me on. We're going to blow everyone's pantaloons off, I tell you. This could be great.
Whoa.
Okay.
Not that type of show.
Exactly.
Maybe it is.
Benny has to edit and censor us a little bit.
No, I'm leaving that in.
Oh, that's all right. Pantaloons is an old British name. It's all about the fun, So
yeah, I love it. So, Christopher, I've got a feeling a lot of my listeners might not know who you are or anything about you. Can you give us a little bit of history? And yeah, you were born a psychic sensitive child with lots of strange happenings. Just kind of bring us up to date.
Yeah, I mean, when I realized kind of when I was 4, I remember being in my bedroom and there's a big old reptilian thing in the corner of the room. Oh, so I shouted at my father, who's not really aware of anything, and I said, Dad, there's a reptilian in the room. It was an Anunnaki thing, about 10'6" tall. And he comes running in, where is it? It's there, and the thing is about entities or, interdimensional beings, you can feel them. If they're not good, you can feel that, like dark feeling in your chest. Oh, this is not good. Of course, he couldn't see it. Oh, it's just a bad dream. But it's still there. So anyway, when he'd left, I learned to master them, with the power of intent and said, get out my bedroom. It was gone. Oh, that worked. And so even at the age of 4, I understood that people didn't see things. I saw craft in the sky and all sorts of weird things. And, but you just learn to not tell anybody, because if you do, they're going to take you down to the psychiatrist and inject you with all sorts of stuff, to numb you down. And I didn't want that, and then obviously life moves on. Went in the corporate system, still, saw things, still looked at healing and things, but really didn't concentrate on it. So I went in the corporate system and I got huge jobs with Philips and Marconi and got paid a lot of money. And I used to go to work thinking, is this it? There's got to be more than this,
Yeah.
You got to be kidding, and couldn't stand the job. I mean, I don't like the word hate because I never hate anything, but didn't enjoy the job at all. It was just a paycheck. Of course, God decided in 2007, we're going to change your life. So crushed the whole life, went bankrupt for millions of pounds, and it was a great journey. Didn't realize at the time, I remember sitting in the middle of Manchester there. This is not funny. I've got 2 Walmart bags with a few shirts, and I've worked all this time for 21 years. What's going on? They said, it's the right time. How do you mean it's the right time? It's the right, you'll see, and I did. I went on a great journey, loved it, been without food for, 21 days and 7 days at a time because I didn't have any money. But it was a great education for manifesting, because when you haven't eaten for 21 days, you kind of get a little tired and look, I need some food. And I said, okay, dear God, I command that I get food right now. And I thank you, God. And within 15 minutes, it all arrived. It taught me to manifest, it was really good. And that was in Belize. And the money came from the most dodgy guy in Belize. He goes, don't tell anyone, look, here's 50 Belize dollars. And it was like $15 here. And that fed me for 2 weeks. So, you have to go through the journey to really understand and get that power behind you. It's really important.
I so hear you. I spent the last year working with my group of women talking about brokenness, being broken open, and what that means as an initiatory passage, right? What happens to us. And I think sometimes we do need to be popped open or stopped or redirected, call it whatever you want, but that's a powerful experience. So you had a lot, if I heard you correctly, you had a lot of money on a job and all this stuff.
Yeah, and it all disappeared within 4 weeks. So you've got to be kidding. But it taught me about stuff. One embarrassing thing, I'm going to point this out, it's really interesting, is that when I was in that, someone lent me the park. I couldn't afford anything, nothing. And I had a Bentley at the time, which is a very expensive bit of tin on wheels. And it was in the parking lot, couldn't put gas in it. And I was kind of almost embarrassed. And it gave me time to think, what the heck did I buy this daft car for? It's just ridiculous. And I was embarrassed. And I was waiting for it to be repossessed. And anyway, life moved on. And, of course, in Belize, when I was in Belize, I met this lady who was in Hollister, Missouri. She said, come and stay with me for a little bit, and did some healing there. And then, I actually moved to Branson and Hollister. And now, like I say, one thing I did when I first started the ministry is build it, they'll come. Okay, so we open the doors and nothing's happening. And so, I waited 3 months and where's the people? And suddenly I said, okay, God, where's the people? It's all within, get out there. Oh, okay. So as soon as I got out there, first place I ever went to was St. Petersburg in Florida, and went to the Unity Church, the bookshop there. And, I just walked in and there was like tons of people there, and then, they're all sitting down. The place was packed. And I said, why on earth do they want to come see me? They don't even know me, but they feel the energy, of course, and anyway, they actually locked the door and people were banging on the door. I want to come in. This is nuts, but it was beautiful because it made me realize that God's got your back if you really surrender. And I did a deal with God because, when I first got it, I hated money, hated it, couldn't stand it. And hatred was it, and this pastor sat me down from Youth Church. He said, well, yeah, you hate money, but if you do a healing on somebody and they give you some tomatoes or lettuce, which I accepted, can you pay your electric bill? No. What about a hairdresser? That would be a no. She said, what do they need? I said, dollar bills, to pay the bills. And she said, well, but what's the difference? It's still energy, and yeah, you're right. And that got me over the hump of not charging on this because, now we have 10 staff. It's a big company. We have to pay the staff and everything else. And I know people criticize you sometimes, say, well, how dare you charge for healings because it's God's gift. Well, the IT equipment we have, $60,000, $80,000 and all the things you have to buy for infrastructure. If you didn't do it, you wouldn't do it. So, I feel very comfortable. And, to get over that as well, we do a healing 3 times a week by donation. If you don't, I always tell people, you don't have any money. I've been there. I got the T-shirt on that one. So please come on, 3 times a week. It's an hour healing. So, but it's been an amazing journey. Sometimes when you're in it, you don't realize, but the biggest things that happen to you, it doesn't matter how bad they are the absolute best for growth. They really are.
I so love what you're saying. Years ago when I started my own business, I struggled, and of course I train healers, right? I work with people, and that issue about around money is a huge issue. I think we have
Oh
great
yeah.
woundedness around it, and we've been enslaved by it, and so forth and so on. But I, a long time ago, was told by my guides that we're talking about an exchange of energy. And in our modern world, I mean, if we lived in a different culture, a different time, you could give me eggs and a chicken, and okay, that'd be fine. But in today's modern world, money is an energy, and I actually think we need to bless it and raise its consciousness. And I've
Oh yeah.
also had criticism, and I tell people, I can't charge you for the gifts, right? The gifts are God given, whatever God is, but you are helping to support this work, and you're also paying for my time, right? That's how I look at
Well,
it.
exactly. And people always go back to Jesus. Well, Jesus. I mean, I love Jesus. I'm not a Christian, but I love Jesus' teachings. And I always say to them, look, go back to 2,000 years. He got a free bed for the night. He got free transport. He had people around him who, gave him food. And then, when it comes to wine, of course, he converted water to wine, and he was an old tippler. So he used to tipple every day. And listen, I always tell him, what's good for him is good for us. And, people say, well, I'm super spiritual. I don't drink, don't smoke, don't. Well, what do you do? In this crazy world, you've got to live life. It's okay to have a few glasses of wine. It's okay to have a beer now and again. Don't people shame themselves because they get this idea that you can't do anything. And of course, you've got to live life and enjoy it. I always encourage people to do that. And say, well, can I have a glass of wine? Well, of course you can. Wine's actually really good for you, red wine and things like this. So I don't, recommend drinking 5 bottles at a time, of course. But, everything's
No.
moderation. It really is. Otherwise, you're going to be, it's going to lower your vibration. Everything's about balance. Healing's about balance.
Yeah, it's about balance. So can you talk a little bit about what happened that got you into the work that you're doing, and who do you work with?
Well, when I went to Belize, bankrupt, of course, I've got a ton of time, like 4 years where I was bankrupt, just struggled. And, this guy sponsored me to go to Belize. So I went to Belize, and it gave me a lot of time to think. And I remember going to Antovich, which is a Mayan temple. Now, of course, the Mayans kind of got it wrong. They were, all about sacrifice, whatever. But the temples they built were very powerful. And of course, the energy was. So I sat there and I got, visions. They showed me past lives, and I spent the time looking at past lives and thinking, okay, well, I did that then. Need to be getting on with it now, and I knew I had gifts. Even to the point where I could do some extraordinary things. When you're on your own and you can, demonstrate things to yourself and really get in that God space, and I'm talking really up there, not not grounded at all. You can do some extraordinary things. Everyone can. But, one thing I would say is they don't allow you to do things that you're not ready for. For example, if you change the vibration of your hand and put it through a wall, if you go, oh my God, you suddenly... you're distracted and the hand will change, you'll destroy your hand. So they won't allow you to do gifts that you're not centered for, things like this. But I think, that brought me to, okay, we're doing healing. I get it, and I also meditate a long time. When I realized about healing gifts, I don't use anyone else's modality. And people say, well, why is that? And the answer is because the Melchizedek beings I work with, if you know what Melchizedek is, it's basically, I wanted to understand the healing from my gift, because everyone's gift is different. Your gift is different. Mine is, everyone's is, and it may work in a different way. So I spent about 4 years in meditation, probably 4 to 6 hours a day. And they showed me cause and effect of things like leukemia, cancers, and it all made sense. Oh, I remember getting the leukemia one morning, 2:00, they showed me a vision of how it works. And I thought, oh, that makes sense. And, it's, for example, it's basically if the liver drops below 20%, there's too much toxin in the body. So it starts to kill off the stem cells. So your white blood cell count goes off balance. And of course, because the stem cells are dying. So first of all, we've got to work on the liver, rebuild the stem cells, get rid of the toxins. And, we've got rid of leukemia in many people. It's incredible. But you can't heal something, I don't think, if you don't really understand how it works. And that's one of the keys, because As starseed, the starseed people and as human beings are just, been reborn to learn, and the starseeds have come here to really help pull from the ethers the things we need down here, because of course it's a third dimensional world of free will. So unless you're actually down here, you can't interfere with humanity's free will. So that's why all these starseeds have been born to, but of course they're hijacked, and so many starseeds, bless them, they attack you, the reptilian races and things, so it's very interesting.
You said so much in there. Like, yeah, no, it's great. No, don't misunderstand me. It's so rich. I feel like I'm at a banquet table, right? And it's like, oh, what do I have first, right? But wow, it's like, okay, so when you are doing your healing work, right? You're doing that long distance mostly?
Yeah, I do all long distance. I
Okay.
can remote view into people's bodies. So what's remote viewing? Well, it's almost like getting a vision. They'll give you several visions, and it's like having a window in your mind. And you've got like, oh, let's have a look at the liver, let's have a look at the womb, let's have a look at the underneath the breast, see if there's any tumors, and look at the heart and look at the brain. And so you can have all these things. You can be moving around, making sure. Because it's psychic surgery, what I also do is, because it's long distance, put people in portals and bond it into Merkaba fields from the ultimate dimension, so the Melchizedek beings can come through and do things to your body. But of course, they can't do anything to your body until you raise that body's vibration. Because if it's low, it's like having a brick wall. So you've got to raise their vibration to a level where the Melchizedek beings can walk in and do stuff. So yeah, it's amazing. The results are amazing.
So I'm going to oversimplify. So you're basically connecting, creating space, opening portals, pulling people's energy bodies to where you're at. I'm probably might or might not be using the right lingo. And then
Yeah.
the Melchizedek beings help you, and they step in. Are they
Yeah.
are they other dimensional? Are they?
Yeah, they're ultimate dimensional beings. They actually sit with the prime creator. They were kind of responsible for creating exactly the Akashic records. I don't really know that. Melchizedek beings created Akashic records after the prime creator created all this third dimensional structure. And the reason for that is because they knew at that time that there'd be time machines. So the reason why I created Akashic records is because if you're on this timeline, if you go back in time on your timeline, it's one timeline. So you go back to, say, for example, 1936, you see Hitler there, and you want to take him out or do something with him, you can't, because you can't alter his timeline because it's already happened from going back in time on one timeline. So it stops people from changing the time-space continuum. And that's a really key thing, because if you did that, we would not be able to live here,
Wow. Yes, exactly. Yeah, totally.
But of course, in the future, you have, if you're standing here on one timeline, you have ultimate timelines. You can go be a chef, or you can go be a hairdresser. You can do what you're doing now, divine alignment things, healing, rob a bank, go to jail. It's an infinite timeline, infinite timelines in the future.
Thank you, because I was just going to ask that question. So if we cannot or do not want to go back and mess with that back there, because you're right, once you change one little thing, you could change all kinds of trajectories. But from this moment right here, right now, we can choose the timeline, or
any timeline. Yeah, absolutely.
That's
it's just a faith.
I want to pull that out. Yeah.
One of the biggest things I've found, people say, well, how did you start the ministry? Because I'm scared, because if I start something, how am I going to live off it? Well, right there, you're telling God, well, I can't live off it. So God said, well, I was just about to write you a check. But, I think again, it gets to that place, and it takes time. But as you raise your vibration, you release emotion, so your triggers disappear. Emotions create patterns, so you change your patterns of your mind instead of into like, oh, well, it's not going to happen, into, wow, it's going to happen. So if you keep policing your thoughts all the time, you'll get to a point where, everything's like positive. I mean, and the other thing about gratitude, gratitude is part of surrender. To me, it's a way of life. I know, people have said, get a gratitude stone. God, you've got 5 minutes, right? I'm grateful for my wife, for my car, and a few things. Right, that's it, we're done. It doesn't work like that. Gratitude to me is a way of life, just being like, wow, isn't it amazing I can do this thing? And I think if you can find your gifts and get to a place where it's not a job, it's a way of life, I think you just enjoy life all the time because it's part of what you do. And, you get up in the morning, you're leaping out of bed going, yeah, let's do it, and you get all excited for the day instead of, oh, I've got to go to work again. If you're feeling that, then you've got to change your life right now because we don't have much time on this planet. It's a short life, like 90 years, 50, whatever it is, and you just got to have every single second and minute of every day absolutely precious. And to me, it's about helping people.
Yeah, I was thinking about what you were saying, like what I said earlier in the show. I'm like, let's do this, right? Come on, let's go. That's always me, right? But I also know that what you're saying is vitally important for people to hear because I've got so many people coming to me and they're like, oh, it's not that I'm unhappy, but I'm unhappy, right? And to me, that means they're not doing their divine purpose, and I'm also with you. I think serving others, I don't know, if I'm feeling bad, I'm just like, oh, I'll just go help. I'll feel
exactly,
better, right? So I want to talk to you a little bit about people's divine plan. And the meaning to life, and how does that play into our health, our happiness? I mean, it kind of seems obvious, but let's go through it for people that might not have thought about it.
It's all balanced. I mean, to me, if you find your divine plan, whatever that is, I mean, mine's not. I mean, I can do cooking with a recipe, but am I a chef? The answer is no. If someone gave me 3 or 4 ingredients and a bit of meat or something, so cook something amazing, and there were things I didn't experience. I wouldn't know what levels to put in. And, chefs are creators, and they create things that tantalize your taste buds so well. They put love in the food. Same with art. Can I paint a picture? No. If I went to an art gallery, there's, oh my God, get out and don't come back, because it's so dreadful. It's not my gift, but my gift is healing, and I love doing it, and it's not just about healing. It's supporting people. It's being there for them. How many people do, Loretta, you must have heard it, well, ever since I got here, I just don't belong here. I was asking God, did you drop me off at the wrong planet? So it's nuts. And my answer is, listen, you got in God's queue. So what I recommend next time is, if God asks for volunteers, just say, hang on a sec, got a funny tummy, run in the toilet, lock the door and stay in there until all the people have been volunteered, then come out, oh, maybe next time, it's okay. And then, I was just messing, but it's true, it's really, really important to you agree to come down here. And of course, when you're up there having champagne with God and doing stuff, and it's all high vibration, it's love and everything else, they kind of show you what the lifetime's going to be like. And, well, you've got reptilians that are going to attach to you. The food's hijacked, the air's hijacked, all pharmaceuticals are hijacking you, and there's bifurcation, there's manipulation, mind control, all this sort of stuff. Oh, don't worry, let's just have another sip of champagne. Of course, you get down, you think, this is nuts. And before you come. But, it's an interesting thing. I'm just going to put it out really quick, but interesting thing between education and violation. Now, the Greys have violated people. They've abducted them, stolen their body parts. That's a complete violation. But education is where, reptilians are trying to attach to you, whether it's draconian, snake beings, whatever. Luciferians connected to the Vatican, they're all trying to attach to you to drag your vibration down and to try and mind control you. And so is that a violation? No, because you knew when you got here that they're there. And it's about growth and learning how to keep them out and raise your vibration. So there's a very close call between violation and education.
You said something in there, and I want to pull it out because I know people's ears went, what? What did he just say? I want to talk a little bit about attachments or curses or black magic. I don't want to go too far into it because I want to keep the vibration high. But it's been a while. I do talk to people about this all the time. Like, sometimes the things that are going on with us are being, how would I say, manipulated might be the right word. We're being manipulated. Yeah. But I do have people come to me all the time going, oh my God, Loretta, I don't know why I'm doing this thing, or I keep thinking this, or I keep, I'm addicted to this, whatever it is. And I can't seem to get away from it. Can you talk about that? And maybe there's more than one thing in that comment.
Well, the reptilians, the Anunnaki, Draconians, Luciferians, they're all there to actually try and drag humanity down. It may be something for another show, but fundamentally, their energy is reptilian energy is really addictive, So if they put that energy out, through the YouTube channel and through, various other means like Netflix and CNN, all well, not CNN, but all the news channels, and it becomes addictive. So I've seen people literally just like, oh my god, I've got to watch it again. I've got to watch it again, and they become addictive. And what they're doing is riling themselves up because they're learning things. A lot of it's the reptilians. When you're channeling, a lot of channelers don't clear the path. So what they're doing is they're channeling reptilians. They give you like 3 truths, like, oh, Loretta, you should be doing this, and yeah, that's great. And then suddenly you'll come to the big lie, huge lie, like, right, Loretta, they're saying that you've got to go to France, you've got to buy that house with a pink roof, red doors, and green whatever, oh, right. And so what they're doing is they're instilling in your mind, like mind control, oh, I better go to France. And believe you me, you'll find that house somewhere in France. And, oh, yeah, they were right because you bought it. So, they kind of send you off, on a goose chase. And they're really good at it, hat off to them. It's incredible.
So, because I know people are wondering this question. Number one, by the way, I'm so with you. I know you experienced this, and of course you help clean and clear people out, right? But I do know when I'm listening to someone who is listening to something they shouldn't be listening to. There's something about the quality of the information, and I'll go they're lying to you. No,
and that's the key, actually, Loretta. For everyone listening, you are a sovereign being, and the only truth you have is you. Your intuition. And you've got to, if people give you readings, go with the intuition. Okay, what percentage is that correct? If it's not 100%, forget it. And the same with channels. If you listen to some channel, truth seeking, and this, that, and the other, and go with your intuition. Is this going to resonate with me? And if they say no, don't watch it. Go to something that really is, proper information. I think that's key. And the other thing is, if you are a channeler, ask the being that is working with you, are you of God? Now, if you don't get an answer, they're not, because any angelic being would say, yes, I am of God. Negative beings or low vibrational beings can't speak the word God. So it's a good pointer.
So they'll just blink at you.
Yeah, well, they'll just say nothing. Are you of God? If you get nothing, that means it's not a good.
If you get nothing, because I do want people to have this, if you get nothing, how do you get rid of them?
You send them back to God. Okay, dear God, I'm going to send this creature, whatever it is, or this being back to you, God, with unconditional love and forgiveness, and just send them off. They'll leave. And, but when you raise your vibration, you'll find that because of your energy field is so high, these beings can't get near you. So how do they manipulate? Oh, what they do is they go after people around you and they mess with them. We get it a lot at the ministry. If we take people on, I've found it in the past that, they get attacked by entities, they get all grumpy and, discombobulated, and wow, so we have to now keep healing people who work for us, because otherwise they're going to get attacked, and they love it because the self-growth, so if it's amazing.
Wow, we could do like a series of 3 shows on that alone. I know we could, but I wanted to kind of point that out to the listening audience, because we are talking about our health, we're talking about vibration, we're talking about frequency, and we're talking about what you attract and what you don't attract in many, many different ways here. So when we bring that into the scope of our health and well-being. Talk a little bit more about the work that you do with people. And I think I heard you say you're doing group sessions 3 times a week. Is that what you said?
Okay. Yeah. Monday, 9 o'clock Central Time, Thursday, 5 p.m. Central Time, and Saturday, 11 a.m. Central Time. And they're, if you just register them, they're free to join. If you want to make a donation, great. If you don't, that's okay. Just come on them, because that's why we do it.
Okay. And that can help people get cleared and healed. I mean, I'm using the word healing. Forgive me. I'm, legally we've got to say wellness or something. Increase their well-being.
I always say, look, legally, I'm not an MD. Go consult your doctor.
No,
but
that's right.
we work on energy and stuff. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Uh, so talk about keeping our vibration high or raising our frequency, because people use those words all the time. What do you mean?
Well, it's actually getting your vibration. So cells are vibrating higher. And the thing is about it is this, if you get depressed, like some big thing happens in your life, it's happened to everybody. Look at this state of the world at the moment, bifurcation, the families are all separated, religions, politics, every separated, and a lot of hatred in the world. It's sad, but it's important to take a step back from that. But one of the things I found is that, when people are really low and, depressed and, exhausted, it's because A, their vibration's really low, B, they've got an attachment, and C, they've got a ton of emotion. So, how do you address that? Well, first of all, remove the attachment. They're in a portal. But, one of the key instruments to healing, and people don't get this, and I've seen it with many healers, is they give them a bit of energy, great. But what happens in 2 hours when that energy subsides? It's helped a bit, but not enough not to raise your vibration above these creatures, these reptilian things. So they're just going to reattach. So you've got to protect yourself. While you're doing healing, we've got a 27 East Merkabah field prayer. It's probably the most powerful prayer you'll ever see for protection. And it also helps with shedding and all the stuff going on. If you say that 3 times a day, morning, mid-afternoon, evening, then it would allow you to get your vibration up and protect you and stop these things from reattaching. Because if they attach, Anunnaki draconians sit at the abdomen, they hang on the shoulders or neck, so neck's really tight. They sit in the abdomen because it gets bloated, it paralyzes the intestines, it paralyzes the adrenals, it paralyzes the liver, so you get headaches, all this. It taps on the lower back, damages the L4, L5 disc, and it sends you negative thoughts, and they're not your thoughts, So if you do get thoughts, you think, where are these coming from? It's coming from an attachment. And, like I say, 98, 99% of people who come to us for healing have an attachment, first time. And as long as you say the prayers, it's gone. And then we raise the vibration, release the emotion, and they get to this really great place. Wow, I feel, it's my job. I'm not a guru. I don't believe in gurus. All that stuff's gone. You are your own guru. And, I just want to help people get back to their sovereign guru self, and get that high vibration so you get excited for life again. Because you've got to find joy as well. People say, well, how do I navigate my life? Well, just look what's around you, I don't enjoy going to restaurants anymore because the food tastes like awful, I don't know what's happened to the food, but, whatever. So we don't go, which means that, around the ministry building or around the house or whatever, you've got to find joy in what you do. And I love cooking. I need a recipe, of course. I'm not a chef. Just do something that you really enjoy. Things you really like. Planting. We've got a property about half an hour away, 40 acres, full of trees. And so you go and sit there, and it's got a campfire. And you can have fun there. And when you sit amongst trees, you can feel like all your energy just like relaxing. Like, oh, this is great. So do things like that, things that bring you joy, because everyone thinks they have to run 100 miles an hour. People go to work, they're trying to keep up with their job because they're doing 4 or 5 people's work of 10 years ago. And then, they're worried about getting fired, so getting PTSD. They get home, not enough money to pay the bills. Oh, food's rocketed up. But, if you actually take a step back from that, just don't worry about it. Everything is in divine alignment, But, of course, you've got to get rid of that PTSD and anxiety and ADD, ADHD. And we have instruments for that. They're healing meditation. All you have to do is lie there, sit and listen to them. It releases the emotion related to the PTSD or the anxiety, using the Melchizedek beings from the intervention of my voice, gets them in. And it also goes in and works on the GABA, serotonin in the adrenals, GABA in the brain, dopamine to rebalance those neurochemicals. So you get out of that OCD or ADHD situation. And I work with a lot of psychiatrists, and they've had a profound effect, psychotherapists, psychiatrists all over the world. So that's been great.
I love your information so much. I want to remind the listening audience that my guest is Christopher Macklin, and he's got a great book, Centering the Mind. And I really recommend that you get it. And also, what is your website, Christopher?
Yeah, it's globalenlightenmentproject.com.
Yeah, and I'm just saying this, we're not done talking yet. I'm just putting it out there because I felt inspired to do so. For the people listening, go there and check it out, because you can get into one of these group healing sessions, or maybe more than one, and start to get yourself, as I say, back online. Get this stuff cleaned out of you. Attachments, curses, black magic. People that come to see me quite often don't believe that's real, and then when we clear things out, they're startled and they'll go, "My
I
life
know
has
that. Wow, I
completely
feel
changed."
so much better. Like curses and rituals. I mean, of course, the satanic deep state instruments here to create mass curses and rituals that they do with sacrifice, everything else. But forget about that. Even if someone gets angry, like, they can actually create a ritual curse actually without even realizing it, because they're focusing negative energy to you. So very important to break those, spells,
Yeah.
curses, angel rituals.
Yeah, I think that's a really great thing to bring out, because I talk to people about that too, going, you do realize that if someone hates you and they're just sending you that awful energy, that they're actually cursing you. There's something going on there. And if you're doing it back, right? So I really think we're in a time where we need to become very responsible for our consciousness and our energy and what it is that we are putting out there. And like I said, be co-creators. Come on, let's get our sovereignty back. Let's do this thing, right?
Well, I think
Um,
you've also got to set boundaries as well. The bifurcation, the separation, or the fragmented families now, vax versus no vax, mass versus no mass, religion, you name it, it's there. I think, my perception of this is because, my father, I gave him a lecture on this. He's 87. He's pretty crabby, whatever, so he'll never change, but I call him a crabby old shit, but I shouldn't say that.
with love.
Dad,
Yeah.
don't watch. I'll be in trouble. I mean, always
Yeah.
in trouble.
Just don't start up the vacuum cleaner. Don't get that going.
Yeah, switch the vac off. But there's a saying in England: you're always in the poo. It's just the depth that varies. So anyway, I think I gave him a lecture on this. I said, look, you believe in the thing, I don't. You know what I'm talking about. So, and I said, you're trying to shame me for it. I said, but Dad, who's right or wrong? And I said, your perception of what the thing is and what's happening in the world is your perception from your knowledge. My perception is very different. I work with, world-leading toxicologists and, people who've looked at all this stuff and know all about it. So my perception is different, but who's right or wrong? And there is no right or wrong. It depends on your perception from your understanding and your research. And so why go and shame somebody, if they believe completely the opposite than you, but I'm finding people say, well, unless you take a jab or something, you're never going to come see me again. And this is mothers to their daughters or grandparents that, it's just, you think, and they say, well, what do I do? And my answer is, well, look, if love is all based around a needly thing, then it's no love at all. So you have to set boundaries. You don't buy into that. Because one thing I would say about starseeds is because a lot of starseeds are spliced in at birth. So that means, the egg and the sperm, they abduct the mother or, put the egg and the sperm in, or the sperm or whatever, and then they put you back down here. And they do that because they need to get enough DNA light body to be able to interface the soul. And that's definitely with Actorians, definitely with Melchizedek beings. Palladians, not so much, because, the soul sits much better because it depends on dimension and everything else. So, when you get here, you really kind of not a lot to do with your parents, really, genetically. And they don't get you at all. They just think you're nuts. And, you just get shamed all the time. And, well, whatever. So, I view my father as, he's not my father. My father's in ethers, so he's just, he's just helped me really to support me while I was younger, thinking I was nuts or whatever. And that's okay, But, it's important not to shame people. Go back to Jesus' teaching. Again, I'm not a Christian, but I love Jesus' teachings. Don't shame people. Don't judge them. Just love them for who they are. But sometimes you have to set boundaries with that to make sure that you don't start ingesting all their kind of negative emotion. And, and I've set really clear boundaries with my father. He starts on about stuff. Oh, Dad, there's someone at the door. Got to go. Bye. I love you. I'm gone, and that's not being rude. That's just, we're cutting you off because I'm not listening to this stuff anymore. Really important boundaries.
When I was reading your book, took some notes, and one of the things I wrote down is wisdom beyond forgiveness. Wisdom beyond forgiveness, right? Which I think is really what you're talking about. Yeah, sometimes we say forgive and forget, and I'm like, actually, I always tell people forgiveness isn't what you think. It's really okay to say what happened there was not okay, but what you want to do is put it down and move on with your life and be wise, right? And then
Well, yeah,
heal, you know.
and also get some unconditional love back into the person. You know, it's no, you say, "Well, I forgive them," but you don't really. You know, and I've worked with people on this where they've been raped or sexually abused, whatever. You know, and if you go back to that timeline and you get that person you face, when you can face that person and you can say, "Okay, thank you for the blessing of your participation in my life. I bless you on your journey. I'm going to send you my unconditional love." What happens on that timeline in the past is you inject unconditional love, it comes up the timeline, and you'll feel different about the whole situation. But you know, people say, "Well, how can you do? How can you forgive somebody?" Well, you can, because always going back to the quote, you know, the biggest things that happen in your life, you know, the biggest events are the best for growth. They really are, you know.
So there, I'm looking at the clock going, what? We still have some time, but it's going by fast. You have some wonderful things. You have a mind, body, spirit healing series. And can you talk a little bit about that? And also, man, we're going to have to do this quick. You also have protocols for removing viruses from the body and anybody who's suffered from vaccine damage. And so just sort of touch on that. And
Yeah, what it is I've been working with HIV/AIDS, Agent Orange, Morgellons, which is the nanotech, which we know all about, and Agent Orange. And we have a protocol. We developed it. And what it is Melchizedek's created cash records. There's only two Melchizedek beings who can split your timeline you're on now in two. So what we've done is it took a long time to understand the particles, how they work, and they hide, you know, different dimensions. So what we do is we split your timeline in two, where what you are now, and you go on a path of divine alignment, complete wellness, where all the stuff is out of your body, you know, like the particles and all the stuff, the particles and spirochetes and, you know, bacterial infections, anything is split out of the body on timeline sun. It's a 20-week program. We work on it every single day, and it's got rid of Morgellons, got rid of Lyme, got rid of Agent Orange and HIV and AIDS completely, you know, and I can't say it's healed because that's illegal, but I can say it seems to have stripped it out of the body and it's never come back. But one of the things you have to do is, of course, when you strip it out after 10 weeks, when the timelines are separated enough and when your vibration's high enough, we invoke a DNA change to reset your DNA back to the blueprint, because the reason why all this stuff replicates in the body is because your DNA is damaged by agrobacterium that's in GMO foods and in previous vaccines and stuff. That damages the DNA, allows stuff to replicate. So that's been profound. Absolutely.
Wow, I'm sitting here just listening to, I just want to say, the listening audience, you know, my guest, Christopher Macklin, his book, Centering the Mind, and also his website, globalenlightenmentproject.com, I believe is what you said.
That's it, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. You know, there is help out there, and I want to remind people we're not medical doctors, but we are woo-woo people.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
But you know what? Anything that we can do that'll raise our vibration and get us more in alignment with who we are, I think is a really, really wonderful thing. It's a real gift. What is the most important thing that you want people to take away from our talk today?
The most important thing is, remember, you are a sovereign divine being. Everyone is, and everyone's got a divine gift. And you know, people say, "Well, I don't know what my gift is." The gift actually is something that you don't really have to work, you know, on. I mean, I took degrees and masters, electronics control software systems. I worked on aircraft autopilots and all this. That's not my gift. I had to train for that. My gift is when you don't have to really train. It's just there, you know, and you get downloads. So, for example, you know, if you're an amazing chef, or you know, kids at 4, they can be you know, I've seen them on YouTube where they're like a concert pianist, you know. Wow, this is a gift. That's not training for that, you know. It's definitely a gift. So if you can find your, you know, natural gift, whether it's planting food, you know, growing food, whether it's, you know, chefing, anything, you know, working with trees, working with animals. I've seen, you know, so many different things. That'll give you back your passion, because when it's a gift, you don't have to try. You're just natural at it. Wow, you're natural with animals. You can talk to them. You know, I can talk to animals. I talk to trees. That's why people think I'm nuts, you know. But that's okay, you know. I love it, you know. I mean, you know, if you can find that divine gift and you know, don't think about the money will flow. Where love goes, money flows. And so if you put enough love into it, don't even think about the money. I never think about money with this thing. And, you know, it's busy. It has to be busy to pay all the staff and everything else. And, you know, I never worry about money. It's just always there, you know, and has been for the last 14 years. So, you know, just think about that passion, that gift.
Where love goes, where
money flows.
I love this. That's my $1 million t-shirt. Thank you.
Yeah, we've got another one. Go, yay! You know.
Yeah. So thank you.
You've got to really have fun.
Yeah. So everybody, thanks so much for listening. Please check out the work of Christopher Macklin, Centering the Mind, the Global Enlightenment Project. Christopher, it's been a real pleasure to have you on my show.
Thanks,
Thank you so much. I'll see you in the ethers. Mwah.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, bless your heart.
All right. Bye now.